Well, hello, everyone. It's so good to have you here in the chat with the Graduate Dean. We are 1 week from spring break. That means our brains are a few days away from getting hopefully some rest and relaxation. I hope that all of you have some kind of plans to disengage, that you aren't going to spend the entirety of spring break doing all the things to catch up in all of your classes. If you are in that situation, you probably should spend spring break doing that. But if you aren't, the worst thing you can do is plow the fields too much during spring break. You come back and you're more exhausted to attack the rest of the semester. You know, it's funny. We work like crazy people all week long. We get to the end of the day on Friday, and our brains are so tired. And it's like, come on, plow through to get it done. And then it's amazing that if we actually give ourselves a break, all those things that were hard to do, you get done very quickly when you finally come back at it. So be kind to yourselves as you go into spring break. If you're going to some exciting destination during spring break, please keep a couple of really important things in mind, especially if you're a visitor in the United States and you're here studying. You want to be mindful that police are much more aware of movement of college students and graduate students during spring break. There's a much higher incidence of traffic tickets during spring break. And the other thing, which is an interesting statistic, is that more students have accidents during spring break. And I'm not talking about necessarily car accidents. I'm talking about they decide to go, do bungee jumping or try ice skating for the first time. So whatever you do out there, please be safe in doing it and be mindful. I still chuckle to this day about the group of students who came to see me who said that they were going to, drive to like Michigan or Boston, and they never had any idea how far away that was in car driving time. So do get out your cell phone and check out how far you're driving before you decide to get in the car and go there. Although gas prices are a little bit better. I want to welcome a couple of guests to chat with the Graduate Dean. Today we have Dr. Carolyn Reichert. Carolyn has been here at UT Dallas the entire time I think I've been here, so you've been here a long time. She is the program director for our MS in Finance program, but she has a lot of experience teaching in exec ed as well. I think before you came here, you were at Texas State University, if my memory serves me correct. And so correct. I want to chat with you and have a couple of questions for you, Carolyn. And then we also have Sonu. Sonu is one of our graduate students. She is a member of the Dean's Council, and if you attended the Owlies last year, she was one of the hostesses for the Owlies, and by the way, will be a host this year as well. So we're real excited about that. And I've got a couple of questions for Sonu today as well. And then, of course, we have Norma behind the scenes pulling all the levers and making sure that we're actually live and on air. So Carolyn, Dr. C, as the students so affectionately call you, as program directors, whether you are a finance student, ITM, or analytics, program directors and program support people are really important to your success in the program. And I think mid-semester, program directors hear from students that are struggling. And I'm curious to hear from you, Dr. C, because there could be students that are listening to us that might be struggling in some way, whether it's struggling in the classroom or struggling maybe with some anxiety issues or struggling because they're lacking a little bit of confidence. And I'm curious from you the kinds of advice that you give students when they come to you as a program director, regardless of what program they are. So maybe you can give some really good advice points to students for mid-semester and especially going into spring break, because I hear from students all the time that they often end spring break with what they call spring break regrets. So how do students come back after spring break without spring break regrets?
I think probably the best way to come back without spring break regrets is to take a break, actually, to the extent that you can. Give yourself a chance to rest and reset. I think that is one of the things that's important to do. When students come in with problems, it really depends on what the problem is, but there are so many resources at UT Dallas, and I don't think students realize how many resources are available to help them with whatever challenge they may be facing. If it's a class problem, talk to the faculty member, talk to the TA, get some advice and guidance on best ways to proceed with the class. If it's internships, talk to the Business Communication Center. They can help with confidence. Talk to Career Management Center, program directors, and really when it comes to resumes, just asking and reaching out and getting as many opinions as possible. If it's student health, I mean, if you need to just talk to somebody, we have student health services here. You can talk with them anonymously and they can help you through things. If you're homesick, there are tons and tons of student organizations, and I suspect we'll hear about those. That can help you to connect with other people from your home. And so there's just tons of ways to get involved. And really, one of the best things you can do is to try to get involved. Even if it's one organization, even if it's an event here or an event there, just meeting the people in your classroom, meeting people outside of class, and having some fun can be a great way to decompress. And then you can come back and you have a fresh look at that particular problem. But tons of resources at UTD. Don't hesitate to ask for, about those resources. I mean, it's part of what program directors are here for. The web is pretty good too, but we're happy to help you find those.
Dr. C, students oftentimes who are feeling a lack of confidence in their classes, or maybe they're struggling in a class, they often wait until the class is what they classify as an academic emergency. And then suddenly, they're seeking extra credit or extra opportunities to redo things. And I think students struggle with why extra credit is more likely than not an option in a class, or why a faculty member is generally not open to letting them redo or make up. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because, an academic emergency is an emergency for the person who's having it, but not necessarily an emergency for the faculty member of the class. So can you talk a little bit about that and why that is the case?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, kind of my mantra is ask early, ask often. So if you find you're struggling, the earlier you ask, the less likely it is to be an emergency. Oftentimes faculty have resources or suggestions that can help you. Extra credit is, well, first, redoing something is problematic because you have to make that really available to everybody. The same thing is true of extra credit. And I can speak for myself. When I have given extra credit, I find the students are doing the extra credit and not the other work that is coming due. So they do fine on the extra credit, the ones that do it, but then sometimes it seems those who need the extra credit the most don't really have the bandwidth to do that anyway. They're better off focusing on what's remaining to do in the class. And I think that's why it's so important to try to address those questions with the faculty, but realize that extra credit may not be the best solution. It's not that they don't want to, they just may feel that there's better ways for you to spend your time for that class.
Right. I think that's a really good point. I know very early in my academic career, I was given some advice by an individual who said, when you're dealing with students, what you do for one, you must be willing to do for all. And oftentimes that is just not possible. I think more often than not, faculty do not allow extra credit unless it's built into the syllabus. So if you are in a situation in a class where you're just happen to be struggling, spring break is a good time to try and do something about that. But I think that while you're balancing taking care of that problem, Dr. C is right. I think that everybody, myself included, need to give yourself a mental break. You are always so much more effective when you let your brain loose for a while and not focus on things that are really difficult. So thank you for that advice. I think that's really good advice. And I would tell students, don't wait until something is disabling your ability to sleep, disabling your ability to study, disabling your ability to attend class. Be proactive about that, because I think the greatest sorrow for a faculty member or for a dean is when a student is waited too late and there's not much that we can do to help them at the end of the semester. So be proactive, but also be kind to yourself. So Sonu, let me talk to you for just a second. I mean, you've commanded the classroom. You've commanded everything outside of the classroom. You know, I think Dr. C said it really well about how, you know, if you're an international student and you've traveled all the way around the world to go to school here, the worst thing that you can probably do is have idle time. It makes you miss mom more. It makes you miss your dog Ralph more. It makes you miss your grandmama's, you know, awesome Wednesday night dinner more. And getting engaged can really help you. Sonu, can you talk a little bit about that? Because you've really been a consummate expert at really getting involved outside of the classroom. And can you talk a little bit about how that has helped you?
Sure, Dean. Thank you so much for your kind words. So I feel honored to be here to discuss about the importance of being active in the campus. As a member of the Graduate Dean Council myself, I have had the privilege to interact with students from various streams and participate in various activities. And my favorite one, obviously, Owlies. I was also a JSOM senator serving the student government till last semester, which gave me an opportunity to be part of important decisions that the university takes for students. Additionally, I've been a vice president in Student IoT Club and members in various organizations that support my interest in product management and user experience design. Now, okay, so there's a lot, but what have helped me and benefited me in this journey is making connections with different people. And like Carolyn mentioned, that there's always someone there to reach out to and make connections with and go to, because you're in America away from your family. So it's very important that you have people to surround you with positivity and productivity. Also, the key of participating in various activities along with the education is time management, because there's like so many organizations at UTD and it is not possible that you'll participate in every single one of them because you're a graduate student or an undergrad student. But it is important to filter out the ones that interest you. For me, it was my soft skills, improving my soft skills, my product management skills, and making connections. I would also like to emphasize here that co-curricular activities is not only for undergrad students, but also for graduate students, because it can greatly benefit the graduate students for being involved in the campus. Because as a member of the Graduate Dean Council myself, I've had this firsthand experience of participating in various activities and enhancing my experience as a graduate student at UTD. Keeping it short, I encourage each and every one to take part in co-curricular activities and enhance your university experience, build networks, just have fun, take breaks, and not pressurize yourself much. Just be out there and be yourself.
Oh, that's great advice. I think that it's a real challenge. I think that sometimes students who lack a little confidence feel like they don't have time to do those things. And oftentimes that's what gives your brain a break. So when you go back to studying, you're actually a whole lot more effective. I think that, wow, the advice from Dr. C as well as Sonu, really terrific advice. You know, I think that that oftentimes there's great reluctance on the part of a student who is struggling to just speak up about it. So you will find lots of people, whether it's your peers, whether it's your seniors, whether it's your faculty, your program director, or somebody across campus in the counseling center. There are so many people. Oftentimes, if you just acknowledge what your challenge is, that probably can help solve half of what the problem is. So just kind of keep that in mind and know that. Now, when we get back from spring break, the course schedule is going to go live. So there's going to be a lot of energy that's going to be put into figuring out what classes you're going to take in the fall. There's going to be a lot of energy for students who are seeking summer internships to finalize those. You're going to be getting your grades back on your midterms. So you're going to see kind of where you stand in your classes. So there's going to be a lot of high impact energy things that will require your attention when you're back from break. All the more reason, as both Dr. C and Sonu have said, to really give yourself a break so that you're going to have that mental energy to come back and kind of attack the rest of the semester. I also tell students all the time, and I just want to remind you that, you know, you should take time to give that brain a break, but you should always have a plan. I think most of the time when students are struggling academically is that they haven't been a very good time manager. I'm so glad you brought that up, Sonu, is just sitting down and making better sense of how you're attacking the many obligations you have. So use a little bit of time in spring break to do that if you haven't done that already. Norma, are there any questions from folks that we need to address now? Or are we good to go for our spring break message to our students?
No questions. I think we're good to go with our spring break message, and we hope everybody stays safe and enjoys their spring break.
Oh, that's great. Dr. C, any last words of advice for our graduate students?
Well, I think they've gotten some great advice. Reach out, time management, get involved. And thank you for having me join you today, Dean Powell. It's been a
Well, I want you
pleasure.
to come back again, Dr. C. Sonu, what about you? Are you willing to tell everybody what you're doing for spring break?
Yes, so it's gonna be my birthday month, so I really want to take a break. So I would be going to Arizona just to see the Grand Canyon because it has been in my wish list from so long. So I'm taking a break for myself, and my advice would be not to pressurize yourself. I know you have to do things around network, study, and you'd also be getting your grades for midterm, but don't worry if the grades are okay. You can work on it or maybe take a break and just freshen up your mind and just do things around.
Oh, I think that's great. The Grand Canyon, one of the most profoundly brain altering experiences, to stand on the edge of the lip of the Grand Canyon and look at that and see how many million years that it took for that to occur. It's kind of amazing. Well, go out, make spring break great, come back fired up, energetic. Get ready. Don't forget to nominate people for the Owlies. The Owlies will come up in April. We need really great student nominations for those awards, faculty nominations, alum nominations. So please get after that and be in charge of you. And if you're going to do that well, you're going to take a break, you're going to realign yourself and get ready to come back and complete a great rest of the semester for spring 2023. If you have any questions, any concerns, don't ever hesitate to reach out to Jendal at utdallas.edu. We'll be glad to answer those questions, or you can always reach out to the JSUM question desk. So without further ado, Dr. C, you better go do spring break really well too. Sonu, get us some great pictures of the Grand Canyon. Norma, enjoy that extra dog that you have over spring break. And I'll be in Ireland with a group of students, so I'll do my best to enjoy St. Patty's Day. You guys have a great rest of the semester.